Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Lead Judges TV. It's great to see all of you in the chat live, and it's a great evening. I'm your host, Dan Potts. I've got Lead Judges with me, and I've also got Little Dan, the Wolves fan, also who's jumped on. First of all, Lee, I have to ask you two questions. One, how are you? And two, how much do you love Southampton right now?
I love Southampton. I've always thought it's a very, very nice place. I love VAR for some odd reason today. I absolutely love VAR tonight. It was absolutely Spurs going mad because they thought they'd done it again. Got a little equaliser and our VAR come in to slap them down. Thank you very much. Good night. Great. I'll tell you what. I had Southampton down to win it comfortably. Tottenham to win comfortably today. How wrong was I? So. All fair play to Southampton. I thought they was outstanding today. Should have won by more. But there you go. Listen, it's all on us now. It's no good them losing. Man United drawing. And I know we've got a Wolves fan in here today, so I've got to be a little bit quiet and that. But we have got to go and do the business tomorrow. Otherwise, today is not worth enjoying.
Absolutely, we have. And of course, joining us from the Wolves Fancast, it is Lil Dan. Lil Dan, how you doing, bro?
Nice to be on, Dan. Nice to meet Lee. Great channel that you guys have got going on. I try to aspire to the numbers that you're doing, and hopefully I'll be back on in a couple of weeks for the return fixture.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's one of those, isn't it? That I didn't expect to be playing you this in this quick order, but we are. That's how COVID and the fixes have gone. But I want to start with you, Lil Dad, a little bit about Wolves. We will go back onto the top four race in a minute, but I just want to start with a little bit of what Wolves are doing and a little bit of appreciation, I suppose, because I've watched you quite a lot this season, and I want to get your take on things because I'm really enjoying watching Wolves at the moment. So, what's it down to, this kind of, I'll not say success because you haven't won anything yet, so to speak, but what do you put this positive turn of form or run of form down to at the moment as a Wolves fan, mate?
I think you've got to just pinpoint the new coach that's coming. I think like you've mentioned, we've gone a bit under the radar this season. I think the fan base as a general thought we might sort of struggle with a new coach, sort of players that may have gone a bit stale under Nuno, but new coach has come in. We're pretty much set up the way that we have been under Nuno the last 2 or 3 years, but he's got us further up the pitch. He's got us playing a lot more dynamic, attacking football, and it's just exciting times at the moment because I said we're going under the radar. You mentioned there, Dan, that you don't want to talk about the top four race, but we're both in it as far as I'm concerned. Because there's not a team above us that's putting a marker down on this top four. Sorry, the fourth place. I mean, the top three is done. Forget them. But that fourth place, it's up for grabs. And Wolves this month, February fixtures: Arsenal, Tottenham, Leicester, West Ham, and then Arsenal again. We've got a big few weeks, and I think if we can put a marker down, there's no reason why we can't get that fourth place. I mean, we're already sort of beating our expectations so far this season, but big game tomorrow. You guys know that the Oleg Luzhny derby, but big game tomorrow for both sides.
Well, I must admit, like, I look at Wolves' season now, and I can only talk with the emotion out of it. I can't talk as a Wolves perspective, but I look at what you're doing right now, and I just think that you can't really lose at the moment. And I know that you want the aspirations, you want to be in the top four, you want to get back into Europe, but mate, even if things go a little bit wrong for you, you still got to look at the season. And even if you're in and around 7th or 8th, you're looking at the situation thinking, this is not where I expected Wolves to be after losing Nuno and a few players. So I think we have to sit back and appreciate what you're doing at the moment. And what do you put it down to on the pitch? Because a lot of credit's going to Bruno Lage, and I think it's deserved. I think he's been exceptional since he's come in. But some of your players have really stepped up to the mark this season, Dan, haven't they?
Massively. I think we all looked at sort of João Moutinho last season. We thought maybe coming towards the end of his career, I think he's like just gone 35. So from an energy point of view, I think the team just lacked a bit of energy last season. I think things did go stale under Nuno to a degree. But Bruno Lage has come in, and 6-7 of those players who was in the starting lineup last season, they've all raised the game. Max Kilman's come out of nowhere. I wasn't a massive fan of Max Kilman, but this season, him and Ben White, I don't know what more these guys can do to oust Tyrone Mings from the England squad, because they've both been excellent. I think just that our defence has been so assured, but the signing of Jose Sarr has been massive. Probably one of the best keepers in Europe at the moment. And Ruben Neves has stepped up another gear when we thought he'd reached his peak, but he's still relatively young. But the guy is an absolute talent.
Yeah, you really have got some class on the pitch. Before I bring Lee in, I just want to say Arsenal Manic has asked, "Is this Danny Murphy?" And I can see a resemblance, mate. I'm not
I've
going to lie.
heard that so many times. I wish I had his bank account.
I bet you do, mate. I bet you do.
I've only kept the
Love
beard
it.
on tonight so people differentiate between me and Lee.
Yeah, Lee's got his beanie hat, so you're safe there. Lee, let me come to you, mate. I want to talk about Wolves first of all. We'll come on to Arsenal because I don't know about you, Lee, but I've been really impressed with them. And I just want to get your take on things over at Molyneux because I've been really impressed.
Yeah, I have been. I think, like Dan said, they've been like I'm going to call it Danny Murphy from now on. Is that all right, Danny Murphy? But I have to say that don't forget that Wolves were in the same position as us after 3 games. Like they hadn't won a game, like down the bottom with us, and quietly gone about their business, and they come up on the radar. I thought, wait, if they win this game and that game, they could be right up there, and they've done it very, very quietly, gone about their business, made some good signings, and the manager's come in. I'll tell you what he's done. He's made Wolves hard to beat. You know what I mean? Like you have to work for that performance. If I'll be honest, I didn't really watch a lot of them, and then I watched them against Man United, and I thought, wow, you know what I mean? I thought, God, I wish Arsenal could play like that away from home. So dug in deep, defended really well, and then as the game went on towards the end, they all looked like they was going to win the game, and so fair play to them. So listen, this is a team that can't be underestimated, but if we're going to get top 4, we've got to get these points off of Wolves because Wolves are in the mix. I don't care what anybody says. They go above us if they win tomorrow. And that means they go above Tottenham as well. So and let's not take them lightly. Always a difficult place to go. The other fact is that since Wolves have been promoted, we haven't beaten them. So it's going to be a real tough game. Molyneux, I don't know what I think is a little bit more. I think Wolves are very clever how they put their away fans. They put them all on along one side, so you can't get that atmosphere. Very, very clever how they've done it, the swines.
We love it. We don't want you coming to town and having a nice time. Get in that bottom tier, try and have a bit of a sing-song, but we're going to sing you all game long anyway.
Exactly. Like the last time I was there was before the COVID thing. I was on the so like where you got the dugouts to the far right, so you're looking over. It's on the right hand side by that section of fans. So you had that section of fans giving it large, and then you got the other section of fans behind the other goal giving it large, and you couldn't get an atmosphere going because there'd be something going on that end, and so so they've done it very, very clever how they've done it. So it ain't the greatest view in the world, but I'll tell you what. The stadium has completely changed to the 80s and things like that. It's a much better stadium now as far as like atmospheres going because you've got the roofs and there is no bloody banks or anything like that. It's a proper nice stadium now, Wolves. And do you know what? Always through the years that I've supported Wolves, they've always had some decent sides going along. Decent players. Kenny Ibbett. I'm going back to that. Andy Gray, of course, played for them, and I remember him winning the League Cup in the
Tottenham. Nottingham Forest.
I think they beat Forest 1-0, didn't they? And they played Tottenham. Do you remember in the semi-finals of the FA Cup? I think it was 82 at bloody Highbury, Dan, and bloody Spurs had the North Bank, and they managed to win. I think 2-0 after a replay. It was a first game. I think it was at Hillsborough, and then I think it was at Highbury. Can you believe that? Wolves versus Tottenham semi-final when they played at Highbury, unbelievable. Unreal. So but it's just another reason why I just don't like them, So anyway, so they've always been, and I've always liked the Wolves kit. Now, when I first started playing football as a kid, that was a kit. I played for a team called Waltham Wanderers. It was my first ever team, and they played in the yellow and black, the gold and black. So a little bit of infinity towards Wolves.
A little bit sentimental for you.
I'm glad you said gold there, Leo, not orange.
Orange. And there you go, you know what I mean? So so that's the first thing I ever kicked a ball for properly, as a kid. Good days.
Fair play. Good days indeed. Little Dan, let's come to you. I want to talk a little bit before we go into Arsenal about Bruno Lage because I've been really impressed. When Nuno did leave, I think there was a few Wolves fans that probably thought, what next? You know, he's brought us into the Premier League. There's a definite style. There's a definite philosophy that he brought to the team. And I think a lot of people were quite impressed, certainly by some of your players and the style of play that you had. But I think you play better football now. I'm not going to lie. I've really been impressed with Bruno Lage and what he's done. So what difference is there between him now and the way you play football from the Nuno days, mate?
I just think it's just how assured we are defensively. I think all the defenders have been given the responsibility now to actually bring the ball out of defence. Max Kilman is truly comfortable bringing it out. He plays right centre back, but he's left footed. So you never know which way he's going to go. He's happy to bring it out. He's happy to carry that ball 20, 30 yards if needs be. But if Neves or Moutinho are free, those guys execute those passes to our wing backs, who are always a threat going forward. Like I mentioned earlier, the majority of our team have stepped up, just being a bit more aggressive with our play from the back. Whereas with Nuno, I used to tongue-in-cheek say we were like Floyd Mayweather, where it was just constant counter-attack. There was no intention of trying to land big punches. It was trying just counter-attack your way into a win, which is, from a fan's point of view, when you're getting sort of 30% possession and winning 1-0. I mean, everyone wants to win games, but you want to try and entertain at the same time. And I think that's what cost us in the end against Sevilla in the Europa League, because we just had no sort of attacking threat and they just pummeled us with possession in the end.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. And Lee, I want to come to you about where you believe this game's going to be won, because I'm going to put this to you. I think it might be won in midfield. I'm massively jealous of the Wolves midfield. I think Neves and Moutinho are fantastic together. I really like what both of them bring to the team. And I think that although with Thomas Partey, he's just come back, Granit Xhaka, we never quite know what's going to happen with him. But it probably is our strongest midfield that we believe to be fit for this game. So do you agree that this could be won in midfield?
Yeah, I think that both teams are going to look to that. I think that Arsenal, when they've had that midfield, let's be honest, last time this midfield was against Man City, and we dominated in midfield against Man City. So that's going to, even though we lost that game, we'll still go on about even though we lost it, but we did play some good stuff that day. So I think that will be an interesting setup. I think what Wolves have done, what I've watched of Wolves, they've been very, very good organising defensively wise. I think they've scored 17 goals, conceded 16, something like that. I don't know, like, you know what I mean. So it's going to be like I think a cagey sort of a game, if I'll be honest, like, you know. But if we can get in between the lines and break them down that way, then we've got a chance. So I think we've got to move the ball quickly. Don't give him any set pieces or free kicks and things like that. Be sensible in those sort of areas. And I think it, you know, listen, they're one. I can't really say I've watched them enough this season to say, but when I have watched them in the past, very, very good on the counter attack, suck you in and hit you on the break. I don't know if they do that now as much, but they're very, very well organised. They've got a couple of players in there that are match winners, Dan, that can just flick of a switch, get the game going and score goals. So I think it's going to be a difficult game, but I do think midfield is key. And listen, if Xhaka and Partey are on their top game, then it'd be a real interesting game. Listen, if their midfield outdoes us, then you're going to have to look at things and say, well, hold on, why is that? This is the midfield that you think's good enough to get you to top four now. Like, you know, you didn't want to improve on it, and you're getting outdone by Wolves. No disrespect to Wolves, you know, this is what we're up against now. So pressure's on Arsenal now. Pressure's on, you know. A little bit of the little bit of a release valve has happened because of what's happened in the last couple of nights. You know, I'm going to have to include Man United's surprise draw at Burnley there. But while that's been relieved a little bit, you don't want to be putting Wolves into the mix as well, like, you know, that. And if Wolves win this game, they're in the mix. So what we've got to do is keep Wolves out of the mix. Sorry about that, Dan, but that's what we've got to try and do. You've got to try and minimise the teams going for it, you know. And listen, West Ham would turn around and say that's a good thing for us. I was talking to my mate today. Our 3 games in hand, Dan, when it will be, our 3 games in hand will be Tottenham away, Chelsea away, and Liverpool at home. So when you're talking about points in the bag or games, I know what I prefer now. So these games now are vitally important that we get results. It's no good slipping up at Wolves, Brighton, Burnley, and then say like Brentford and teams like that. We've got to win these games. And listen, Dan will tell you, you know what I mean, like going to Wolves at this moment in time, they'll be fancying it. They'll be fancying beating us tomorrow. I don't care what anybody says, you know what I mean? If when Dan goes to sleep tonight, puts his head on his pillow, he's going to be thinking like, you know, Wolves can win tomorrow, like, you know, and we'll be thinking the same. So it's going to be an interesting game. Got to say that. Very interesting.
Yeah, will be absolutely 100%. Guys, there's over 400 of you watching live. Smash the like button for us. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. We're bringing you much more content regularly now, so it'd be great to see you all rejoining us as we do see you interacting in the chat. Lil Dan, let's come to you. 2 questions, mate. Where do you see this game being won or lost is my first question. And second of all, I want to ask you about team news and one question that keeps being bound around in the chat. Where is Pedro Neto? So I've kind of given you 3 questions there, really, but off you go, mate.
Yeah, I'll start with Pedro Neto because I think just to give you guys a bit of relief, he's nowhere near starting tomorrow. He'll be lucky.
Great player.
He'll be lucky to be back by sort of mid-March, in my opinion. At the moment, there were some pictures of him on our training ground today with his knees heavily strapped. One really serious scar on the one knee. He's well off at the moment. Massive miss for us. Losing Adama Traore in the January transfer window as well. Lee mentioned earlier that counter-attacking style that we had isn't as full throttle as it used to be, but we do have sort of 2 really good attacking threats in Nelson Semedo and Ryan Aït-Nouri. So you mentioned the battle being won in midfield. I think 99% of matches are won in there, but I think 2 players that'll be key to this match tomorrow will be Bukayo Saka for you guys and Daniel Podence for Wolves. I think if either of those has a better game than the other, I think that'll be the guy that ends up on the winning team.
Yeah, Daniel Podence is an absolute talent as well. I'm a big fan of this guy. I think he's
you got to take into account, lads, the fact that we got knocked out by Norwich in the FA Cup on Saturday. So the players.
Yeah, what was that? What do you put that down to?
I think it may be I don't want to say complacency. I think maybe the thought they had to turn up. All they had to do was turn up. I'm not really sure. We huffed and puffed. Norwich were awful, but we just never really caused any threats. So I'm not sure whether the game plan just wasn't right. We lost Francisco Trinquet before the game to COVID. I don't know whether that changed the dynamic of the tactics that Bruno set them up earlier on in the week, but we just weren't at the races. We could have been still playing now, and we wouldn't have scored that day. It's just it was a missed opportunity for me because I thought the FA Cup at the moment is wide open for someone who's not normally reaching the final to get there this season. You see some of the teams that have already been knocked out. You see like the likes of Boreham Wood and a few other teams that are in that 5th round. It's disappointing that we've missed out, but league's the focus now. I think you guys have had quite a bit of a break now since playing the last game, haven't you?
18 days, mate. 18 days.
Might work in our favour to a degree because I think our guys need to put Saturday's performance right.
Yeah, you need to bounce back 100%, and we've had a nice break, and we should be all rested up nicely. But sometimes, like people have said, you don't always get that momentum of game, so it can work against you. Lee, let's come to you and let's move on to Arsenal. The team news is looking pretty fresh, to be honest with you, mate. So I expect a very strong side. The only doubt is Tomiyasu, but they're saying that he's been training, he could start. If Tomiyasu isn't 100% fit, Lee, what do you do at the back in that position, mate?
Well, there's only one thing. Well, you could do 2 things. You could actually play Ben White there and hold it at central defender, but Cedric comes in as far as I'm concerned. He's the backup right back. You've got to play that like, And listen, it's up to Mikel Arteta now. It's a decision that he's got to make. What was a little bit worrying was he kept saying recurring. It keeps recurring, this injury. So, listen, I think that he's had a good, maybe, as you say, like 18 days he's had off. He's probably had about 10 days of treatment and resting it and all, then, and 8 days hard work. That's how I would see it, so he should be available. It's whether they pick him now, like, so it'd be very, very interesting for me. Listen, I think that we've got to get him, play. If he doesn't play this game, we ain't got a game till the following Saturday, so it's another 10 days without a game, so I would say, like, play him in this one, and then put him in cotton wool for another 10 days. That's how I would see it. I'd be very surprised if he's not playing. Keep that back four settled for these next 17 games, or back five, hopefully, and we build on that. So I think that I think that's it. Do you know when, like, over the last few games, you've been looking at the team sheet, worrying where you're going to play? I'm not really worried about it, the starting line. It's going to be, I don't think, any shocks whatsoever. I think that the only one that I'll probably be looking at is what we play up front with Lacazette, or does he go Martinelli? But for me, that back four is going to be the back four now that bar injury, that will be every single game. And I tell you, look, you know, I think that I don't know about you, Dan, but for me, I want to see that partnership of White and Gabriel every week, like, you know, working, making sure that it's better all the time. Tierney needs to up his game after his last performance, but I'm sure he will do. So I just want to see that back four now working together every game, keeping clean sheets, and then that will give us the foundation to move on.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And I always believe you should weaken one position, not two. If you've got somebody out like Tomiyasu, Cedric comes in. You don't want to be putting Rob Holding in and then having Ben White over the right-hand side, because at right back, I thought Ben White was shambolic against Burnley in parts of the game. So I really want to see Ben White and Gabriel as a partnership. I don't want to weaken centre-back and right-back. Cedric, I'm not a fan of, if I'm honest with you. I'm really not. And I would have had Callum Chambers over him, but we obviously got rid of Callum Chambers. So it has to be Cedric coming in if Tomiyasu isn't fit. However, from what I'm hearing, Tomiyasu has been training and should be okay. So I expect a fully strength side. Before I come to little Dan Lee, I want to talk about Pepe and I want to talk about Smith Rowe, because it looks as if we're going to keep the same side. Smith Rowe and Pepe will miss out. We now have some strength from the bench for the first time in a few weeks because of African Cup of Nations and obviously the injuries. We've got the likes of Lokonga on the bench. We've got the likes of Smith Rowe. We've got the likes of Pepe. And, of course, we've got Lacazette and Martinelli who could do some swapping around of positions. So does that fill you with a lot more confidence than it has done the last 5 or 6 weeks?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think, like, against Burnley, we didn't have those options. Pepe's going to be an option, whether it be on the flank or coming in down the middle. Smith Rowe can come on the left hand side, or even like on the right, or even down the middle. If Odegaard, starts tiring and all that, like, So I think that the one thing that this break's going to do us, I looked at it. Saka was running on empty. Martinelli was running on empty. I think Smith Rowe has been carrying that groin injury for a few weeks. Just getting himself through the game. So, if you've got that little bit of a niggle or something, it's always on your back of your mind. So we'd have had about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days resting that groin and then working again. I think that, as you say, like, I think even Odegaard was tiring a little bit, like, So I think Smith Rowe, because of that injury, may start on the bench on this one. But, if there's 20 minutes to go and Wolves are tiring, bringing on Pepe, bringing on Smith Rowe, and even Eddie with his pace, let's not right. It's not just give Eddie a chance now, and hopefully, like, if he does get the chance, we've got to back him. That'll give us a few more options. But what fills me with a little bit more confidence is that our first port of call will be Smith Rowe, then Pepe, then Eddie, where it's been over the last couple of games, it's been Eddie, like, straight away. So I think that gives us much more options going forward. But one of them two has got to step up, Dan. You know what I mean? I'm not Smith Rowe, he has stepped up, but Pepe now, this is your time, 6 months to take your opportunities and get yourself into that first team. Because there is an opportunity for him at this moment in time, and he's got to take it, Dan. He has to take it.
Yeah, he has to. And the reason he hasn't taken it this season is because he hasn't been playing him. And now we're going to see him play. And that's what I want to see now. Him coming on and playing well and creating chances, assisting or scoring goals. And to be fair to Pepe, he can do it. 16 goals last season. This is his chance. He's got to take it. Lil Dan, let's come to you. I want to talk to you about Arsenal. I want to get your opinion on Mikel Arteta and our young side, because it's very much flipping and flopping in our fan base, as it was with Wenger and Emery. Some of them want Arteta in, some of them want Arteta out, some aren't convinced, and some are patient and want to trust the process. As a Wolves fan, obviously you can take the emotion out of it and detach yourself. What do you make of Arsenal under Mikel Arteta, mate?
Similar to Wolves under Nuno, there's always been a bit of a divide. I think Arteta is he's got a long-term plan. It's just whether he gets given the time to actually fulfill that plan that he's got. I think you look at your transfer window, you've got rid of a few players. Hopefully for you guys in the summer, you actually have a proper go at it recruitment wise. You've obviously streamlined the team, got rid of a lot of players off your wage bill, so it frees up a bit of space to bring in what you'd think Mikel Arteta would like from a quality point of view. Arsenal are similar to Wolves. I said on our podcast last night is that you've got a strong starting lineup, but the depth just isn't there. So, as far as I'm concerned, as long as Christopher Ray isn't playing for you guys tomorrow, I'm confident we can get the win.
What an old school player. You pulled out the bag there, mate. I remember that game very, very well. Let me stay with you, little Dan, because obviously you're looking at the game now with Arsenal playing fairly, I say well, but our form has been up and down. You guys have been in good form. Do you go into this game with a little bit of fear about playing the Arsenal, or do you think it's a good time to play us?
I don't fear Wolves against anyone at home at the moment, especially under the floodlights on a midweek. I think the fans turn up a lot more under those sort of circumstances. Like, as much as I don't want us to be the underdog with the history that you guys have got, we're going into we're going in as underdog to this game, even though I think on form we probably might edge it. But like I said, Molyneux under the floodlights. Lee mentioned the atmosphere. I don't see why we should fear anyone at home at the moment. That's why I felt it was a missed opportunity in the FA Cup, because I think with the Champions League starts up, even if you got Man City or Liverpool, that they've got their eyes elsewhere. So I felt Saturday was a missed opportunity to try and progress in that cup.
Yeah, I think it is, to be fair, I must say.
Play on your minds. Do you think that could play on your minds, Dan? Do you think that could be a little bit of a worry, that game? Or do you think that...
No, I think that'll be the rocket up the arse that they need.
Yeah.
You could be right. It could be one or two things, couldn't it? It could be that you need a rocket up, or it could be that you're still thinking about it. You never really know.
You've got to take into account Bruno Lage got manager of the month, so that was the curse on Saturday as far as I'm concerned.
Always is. The thing is,
back to the bread and butter tomorrow. I
think when Arsenal play at home against Brentford in the next game, I do think that the Burnley performance will come into it gives the fans a little bit of nervousness because it didn't go the way that it should. So first 20-25 minutes. So I think that if we can start off well against Wolves, maybe that can get in your minds that you couldn't break down Norwich, So like it could work in our favour. I'm not saying it could. I'm just it was a banker for me. I had Wolves down to win that game.
So did I.
I could not believe that they didn't, So
it'll be interesting to see how Wolves actually shape up tomorrow, because we played a midfield three against Norwich, which gives us a bit more sort of a hold to win the possession battle, but it does stifle us in attacking sense. So I'd like us to go two against two. Neves and Martino against Xhaka and Partey, and try and win that battle, and then bring in the likes of sort of Trinket, Daniel Podence and Jimenez to win the game. But be interested to see how Wolves shape up tomorrow midfield.
Yeah, it really will. It really will. And I want to ask you quick, Dan, as well. Who are the danger men in terms of Arsenal for you? Who do you look at and go, we've got to try and keep him quiet?
Like I mentioned earlier, Bukayo Saka's a huge talent for you guys. I mean, you guys need to really get back into the Champions League, because I think he's worthy of playing at that level.
Yeah,
I think he's an absolute talent. I do like Emil Smith-Rowe. Obviously, he hasn't really been starting much games, but I think he's another talent. I do like Martin Odegaard, but he's inconsistent from the bits that I've seen of him.
Yeah, no, I think they're fair. All three of them are fair comments, to be honest with you. For me, I think your danger man is always going to be Raul Jimenez, because he's someone that will want to come back to Arsenal, where he obviously got injured quite badly. And I'm so glad he's all right, because that was absolutely horrible watching that. And he's a great talent as well, someone that I've always respected and always thought was a real good underrated striker. And of course, Daniel Podence.
He needs to get a goal. He needs to get a goal from open play, because that's the reason why I'm growing this beard.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is that your bet?
He needs to score from open play, because I'm fed up with him scoring penalties. And I want to get rid of this beard. I'm at a wedding in Ireland on Saturday, so I want to have a trim.
Well, do you know what? If he scores against anyone, it'll be written in the stars to score against us.
Well, let's hope he scores on Sunday against Spurs, but that won't be too late for you then, Dan, won't it?
Yeah, I'll be hungover at that point. The actual Groomer's getting married on the Saturday as a Tottenham fan, so hopefully we can stick it to him on the Sunday when he's coming down from his wedding.
Let's hope so. Like, let's hope he has a good wedding and a bad
horrible
day.
Sunday. Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
I've got to ask both of you this question because I always like to do that when we get other fans on. I'll start with you, Lil Dan, then I'll come to Lee. If you could sign any Arsenal player for Wolves, who would you sign?
Oh, that's a good question. Gabriel.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I love Gabriel. He's absolute rock.
I think he's an absolute tank. I think we've got Romain Saïs, who's just coming back from the African Cup of Nations. I think he'd suit our back three splendidly. Gabriel. I mean, I'd love Bukayo Saka, but I think we need more of a centre back than another wide man at the moment.
That's interesting. And I like your honesty as well. That's a really good... And listen, I think he's been one of our players of the year. I really do. I think he's been outstanding at the back. He's been a colossus for us. And I think he's someone that just no one really talks about because he's consistently good. The only thing that happens sometimes is he loses his head and he gets himself into a few cards and a couple of bookings. But that will come with his ill discipline. He's a great player. Only 23 years old. I'm a massive fan of Gabriel, as Lee knows. Lee, same question to you. If you could sign a Wolves player, who would you go for?
Oh.
There's only one clear answer for you there, Lee, and it's that midfield of yours.
Yeah. I would say probably Neves would probably be the one.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I've always been impressed with their defenders. You know, I know Cody is getting towards it now, but I think a couple of years ago I would have took one of your defenders because we wasn't quite that strong. But I'll tell you what, I do like Ruben Neves. I suppose he's the one that you would have to go for. I suppose, yeah.
I think if you said to me, if I weren't talking about what Arsenal need, I'd probably go for either Pedro Neto or Podence, if I'm honest with you, because I really like how skillful they are. But because we got the Sakas and the Smith Rowes, we got all them. You know what I mean? We got them players. So for me, it would be Ruben Neves. I'm 100% with you. I actually think João Moutinho is a class act, but he's getting to his late 30s now. So for me, Ruben Neves 100% would be the one. And you know, there's rumours of us trying to sniff around him. I don't know how true that is, but he would definitely, for me, not that it's hard, be an upgrade on Granit Xhaka. So we'll see what happens in the summer. Let's come towards some predictions, and then we'll talk a little bit about top four. Lee, let's start with you. What are you going for Arsenal Wolves tomorrow night?
I have said we're winning 2-0, but more and more I'm thinking about it. Maybe we nick 1-0, but I just feel that. Because we haven't played for a while, I just think that all those players' energy levels are going to be up, and I just think that we just might just sneak it.
Nice one. I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to go 1-1. I'd love to see us sneak it, but I don't think that. I think they're so good at home. I think they're in form. I think they're going to want to bounce back, and I don't think we're going to have enough. So I'm going to go 1-1. Lil Dan, over to you.
Guys, we sorry to plug my own channel at the moment. Obviously, guys,
no, you do it. We'll give you a chance to do it at the end as well.
Guys who are viewing out there, once you finish watching all the lead judges' content, have a look at our Wolves Fancast match preview. We had the Libertines drummer Gary Powell on last night, along with former Arsenal and Tottenham playmaker Rowan Ricketts. They all predicted Arsenal wins. I've predicted a classic Wolves 2022-23 season, 1-0 to the Wolves.
1-0.
No, Ricky, he had a little spell with Wolves, didn't he?
Wolves, Arsenal, Tottenham, yeah.
I remember. I remember him. Do you remember him, Dan, or not?
Yeah, I do remember him. I do remember him well, and I remember him being a very good player, and then never quite making it. Obviously at the Arsenal, but also at Spurs as well. But apparently, as Dan was saying off air to me, he's a really good lad, and he's always willing to come on podcast. So we may even have a little bit of a chat with him one day, Lee. You never know. Really. And we're looking forward to this one tomorrow. Let's talk for the next 10 minutes or so about the top four race, because we've seen the results tonight. Tottenham losing, which is always great fun. I know, Lil Dan, you hate West Brom, and they lost also tonight, so you must be happy also watching them struggling at the moment, which is rubbing your hands together there, loving life. And obviously Manchester United last night dropped points. Last night dropped points against Burnley. Let's start with you, Lee. I want to put this to you because I had a chat with a Spurs fan today, funny enough, and he was really confident about tonight. And to be fair, in his defence, I thought Tottenham would win tonight. I did. I thought they'd beat Southampton tonight. So it just shows you that all these teams are dropping points still. None of them are consistent. None of them are looking like they're going to go on a run of 5 or 6 wins. So you include West Ham. Obviously, we've got Wolves to talk about, Arsenal, and then, of course, Manchester United and Tottenham. I look at those teams right there, and I think that Wolves have potentially not got the strength in depth, which little Dan did say earlier on, to be honest to him. I think what you need for top 4 is strikers that score goals and a manager. The one team that I think has got that is Tottenham, which is why I still think they'll get top 4. Right? Even though they lost tonight, I don't want them to, of course. I want them to come 9th or 10th. But I'm just being realistic, and my eyes don't lie to me. They have got both of those things. They've got Kane and Son that score goals, and they've got the best manager out of the top 4 contenders. Right? Manchester United have got match winners, but they ain't really got the management right with Ollie and this Ralph Ragnick. He's taking his time. He's getting his feet under the table. Right? You look at what Arsenal have got. We ain't got the scorers, and we ain't got the manager. West Ham might have the manager, but ain't really got the goal scorers. And Wolves got the manager, but haven't really got the goal scorers. So for me, I look at it in my head and think, although we're losing games, people are winning games, Tottenham are probably best set up to get this top 4. But again, they are losing games. So where's your head at the moment? And I know that we're only just halfway through the season and there's a long way to go. But where's your head at with this top 4 race, Lee?
Do you know what? Every team, I said this earlier on, every team at this moment in time have got flaws in them. Every one of them has got something wrong with them. Like I look at Tottenham. Yeah, they've got some wonderful players going forward. They're poor at the back. Come on, they're awful at the back. The goals they conceded today. One of them, the ball comes across, and he drops off in the 6-yard box. Don't even engage him with a header. Unbelievable, so they've got problems. I also, their midfield I don't think is quite up to scratch, but they've got the top class manager that can get them through things. But ultimately, Dan, it still comes down to players. As far as I'm concerned, it still comes down to players. Don't matter how good a manager you are. If Conte was managing me and you and we was playing up front, we ain't going to get a lot of goals. Simple as that, because we're not good enough. You know what I mean? So it is all about players. I think West Ham are a very, very. If I was be honest, probably they're the best all rounds as a team.
I agree.
But I do think that the FA Cup and Europe could be a hindrance for them. Too many games. Manchester United have got the players, but they're too individuals. There are too many individuals. I watched the game yesterday when it went 1-0. You should be over. Really, Burnley haven't got really enough to break it. You shouldn't be. That should be it. You've got the goal. You've broken down. You should go on and win it. They didn't. They've got Pogba, who I thought was brilliant, but he's always a little bit inconsistent. But they've got players in that team at this moment in time. Bruno Fernandes. What has happened to him? He just drops. The standards of him has just dropped off unbelievably. Rashford performances have dropped off. Ronaldo, I'm a massive fan of Ronaldo, but he's looking a little bit like he is 37 at the moment, which is remarkable to be even playing at that level at 37. But really, in the Premier League up front on your own, 37, I don't think that's for me. I think Man United need to get a big centre forward along. If they had Harry Kane up there and then Ronaldo working off of him, they could be there. So they've got their problems as well. So then I look at Wolves. I think Wolves probably, if I be honest, I don't know what Dan thinks about it. Maybe just need to score a few more goals if they're going to push themselves into that mix. And then Arsenal, well, we've decided we don't need no strikers. So that is the thing. If Arsenal produced the form that they did before Christmas, when and over the Christmas period, when they're banging in 21 goals, then who knows? But Arsenal have their problems as well. Arsenal's problem for me is what one team needs to do, and that is get on a consistent run. Whoever now is consistent gets 5-6 wins under their belt, they push themselves in a fantastic position. Arsenal can't seem to do that. Get 5 or 6 wins. They might get 2 wins, 3 wins, and then a couple of draws, and then a couple of defeats. I haven't got a clue who's going to do it. As I say, but every one of them has got a performance in them, like today for Tottenham, like we did at Burnley, like Manchester United had as well against Burnley. So it could be down to a couple of teams like Wolves or West Ham where the pressure's not so much on them. I think there's more pressure on Arsenal, Spurs and Manchester United to get top four. So, sometimes someone can come and have a run and without that pressure, Wolves could be that team. So that is why it's important that we stop them getting there. Wolves have a few tough games now. Arsenal at home, Tottenham away, and now Arsenal away coming up. So that will what's the word, tell you where they're going to be in the top four. If they win all those 4 games, that they're in it. If they lose all them 4 of those 3, then they're not going to be. It's as simple as that. Arsenal have got to get on a run now. Simple as that. Whether they can do it or not, I'm not so sure. If I'm still a betting man, I'm still going to say Man United because they've got the players. That's the only reason that I'm saying that. I still think they've got top class players, and I just think that they're probably shade it, over Arsenal and Spurs and Wolves. And I think that I still think that West Ham, can't be written out of this. But I do feel that Europe will take its toll. I think they'll go well in Europe, by the way, West Ham. I think that they could go very, very deep in that. Like Arsenal done in the last couple of years, they could actually be in for a chance of getting to semi-finals and finals. So that could then lose their focus going further down the line.
Yeah, I agree with that about West Ham as well, I must admit. There's over 700 if you're watching live. Please smash the like button if you hate Tottenham. We would appreciate it very, very much. Lil Dan, let's come to you. There's 5 teams that are fighting for top 4. Obviously, Wolves and Arsenal are 2 of them, and the others are West Ham, Manchester United and Spurs. Where do you stand on the top 4 race, mate?
Just straight from the off. We need to popularise Man United no longer being a good side. They're finished. Even the refs have turned against them. The Middlesbrough handball, the 2 VAR decisions last night, they're finished. Ronaldo's I'm with Lee. Ronaldo's my all-time GOAT. Well, R9's the original GOAT, and then it's Cristiano Ronaldo for me. But I just think you both have mentioned it. I think West Ham are the most well-rounded side. I think they just missed out last season. I think that might give them a bit more experience trying to just get over the line this season. My head would go with sort of Tottenham because of just having Harry Kane, which is like you just mentioned. He's the only one in them sides where the striker will be influential to where they end up at the end of the season. And my heart just says Wolves win these next few games and we're going through it with that momentum and then getting Pedro Neto back hopefully in March. Hopefully he'll get us over the line, but big few games for Wolves.
Yeah, it is. It's a big few games for a lot of us. But I looked at the remaining fixtures the next 5 or 6 fixtures, and it is going to get very, very interesting around as Lil Dan says there around March time because there's some big games coming up. And Lee, listen, Arsenal have got some winnable games on paper, but games on paper mean nothing, mate. And we got Wolves in 2 of those games in the next 5, and Wolves are a very, very good side. We've got Leicester in one of those games, and we know that Leicester can turn it on. We've got Watford, who have got Roy Hodgson now, who's always been very, very good when he comes in, when he's trying to save teams from the Premier League. And Brentford, we all seen what Thomas Frank did against us at their place on the first game of the season, albeit with a depleted Arsenal side. They played very, very well and deserved the win. So none of these games coming up, Lee, are to be taken for granted as wins. But I think you're right. The team that shows consistency obviously will have the best chance of getting that Champions League place. Now, the reason I do feel or fear that Arsenal might not get it, and I'll finish on this, is because 2 reasons. I don't think the manager is consistent enough, and I don't think this 11 is going to stay consistently fit. And when we get a knock, let's say, to an important position, I don't have the faith that a Rob Holding, a Cedric, or a Lokonga can take us to the top 4. What do you think of that, Lee?
Can't argue that. I cannot argue that. And that is where the gamble comes in. I think the gamble comes in is that we've got these games when we're only playing once a week, and hopefully if they do take a little knock, they can rest up and everything like that. It is a massive gamble to go 17 games and not get no injuries to the key players. And those key players, as you say, are central defence, central midfield, and we can afford one in the wide areas. But you can guarantee with knowing Arsenal's luck, they'll all get injured in the first week. You know what I mean? Like one of them will get injured at Wolves, and it's guaranteed. And Dan makes a great point there. Harry Kane can get injured next week, and that would blow Tottenham all in a real difficult position. You know what I mean? Like, or Song. Get one of them two who gets injured, they will go down quite a lot. Like, you know, so we're taking a gamble. Sometimes gambles pay off, Dan.
Yeah, 100% they're doing. Let's hope that we can get that result tomorrow night. Lil Dan, I want to say a huge thank you to you for coming on, man. But before I do let you go, I want to let you plug your channel, mate, because I know that you've been doing podcast, well, since what, 2007 you've been podcasting, you lot. So go over to you, mate.
2007, before podcasts were even a thing, the Wolves Fancast have been going. We're on all the usual platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube channel at Wolves Fancast. Yeah, just give us a go. We're the Wolves Fancast. We've been doing it for as long as your dog's been being walked by your dad.
Great stuff, mate. There you go. That is a great way to get people over to the channel. Got some ex-players on over there as well, which is great and always good to hear from those as well. So thank you so much for coming on, mate. And we'll probably see you in a couple of weeks when you come back on when we play over at our place. And it's been a pleasure to have you on, mate.
You'll see me on social media tomorrow, hopefully around 10 o'clock with some positive tweets from our end. But if not, I'll be going off-grid.
Don't care, guys. Mate. Keep your head down. Thanks a lot, Lil Dan. You take care, buddy. We'll speak to you soon, mate. All right. Cheers, mate.
Right.
Lee, great having him on as well, by the way. Absolutely superb, Lil Dan there. And Wolves Fancast.
He looked like Danny Murphy, didn't he?
He really did. When I saw that, I thought, wow, that is a great shout. Yeah, listen, we've got to do it tomorrow night. Want to end on this. We've got to do it tomorrow night. There's no point of us getting excited tonight about Man United and laughing at Tottenham. If we don't do the business, Lee, we've got to go over there and do the business, mate.
100%. Listen, it took the pressure off a little bit. West Ham got the result yesterday, only just against Watford. So it shows you that the games are tough. But ultimately, it's taken a little bit of the pressure off tomorrow where they both have slipped up. So it's important now that we, with that little bit of relief, you know, like we can open up the gears a little bit and get the result. So, you know, if they're both one on, it puts a little bit more pressure on us, if you know what I mean. There's still pressure on us tomorrow, don't get me wrong, but it's just not as heavy with them losing and Man United dropping points. So there's an important time now to just get over the line. I don't care how we win tomorrow, as long as we do.
Absolutely. Hopefully it's 3 points to the Arsenal. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody. We've had well over 700 people watching live at one stage. Fantastic. If you can all smash the like button on your way out, we will see you soon. Until then, up the Arsenal.